Hey there! Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the scariest sea monster you have never heard about. This is one of the largest sea monsters that has ever existed, and its name is Plesiosaur. If you are new here, please consider subscribing. Plesiosaurs were marine reptiles that lived from the Triassic period until the end of the Cretaceous period, meaning they lived for 145 million years. They inhabited most of the Earth's oceans during their time. And just like today, the ocean was full of prey back then. So these creatures had enough to eat, and they could grow to gigantic sizes. That's how scientists believe some plesiosaurs grew so big. Scientists also think that a lack of predators allowed these creatures to grow even bigger. Even though the ancestors of the plesiosaurs were terrestrial reptiles, over time they evolved into fully aquatic creatures. They looked kind of like today's whales and dolphins. In fact, when early naturalists first discovered the fossils of these animals, they assumed they were whale bones. It wasn't until more fossils were unearthed that scientists realized that they were dealing with an entirely new species. Like today's whales, plesiosaurs were also mammals. But unlike whales, plesiosaurs were reptiles. Even though they were reptiles, they spent almost all of their lives in the water. To help them do this, they developed paddle-shaped limbs that helped propel them through the water at incredible speeds. Also, just like today's whales, they were warm-blooded, which allowed them to thrive in different climates around the world. Most other reptiles are cold-blooded, which means they rely on the sun or other sources of heat to warm up. Being warm-blooded meant that plesiosaurs could dive deep into the ocean, where the sun's rays could not reach. The average size of most plesiosaurs ranged from 3 to 6 meters long and weighed around 350 kilograms. But some species were much larger. For example, the largest known plesiosaur species, the hole-in-the-hole, grew to lengths of around 18 meters and weighed more than 27 tons. That makes it roughly the size of a blue whale. But unlike the blue whale, the hauling hole was much more agile because of its smaller size. It was able to swim faster and dive deeper than any other marine mammal alive today. These sea monsters used to feed on fish, squid, and other prey that lived in the depths of the ocean. They also hunted other marine creatures like turtles and even other plesiosaurs. Fossil evidence suggests that plesiosaurs were cannibalistic. That means that sometimes adult plesiosaurs would hunt and eat smaller plesiosaurs. Plesiosaurs were also very diverse. There were many different kinds of them, and they all lived in different parts of the world. For example, in England, a new species of plesiosaur is discovered every few months. They've found hundreds of different species of plesiosaurs, each one more bizarre than the last. Some plesiosaurs had short, fat bodies, while others were long and slender. Some were good swimmers, while others preferred to stay close to shore. Some ate only fish, while others were happy eating jellyfish. As I said, these creatures were so diverse that they left scientists puzzled. For a long time, scientists believed that plesiosaurs were dinosaurs. After all, they lived during the age of the dinosaurs, and they lived near dinosaurs. So it made sense to assume that they were related. However, after studying their anatomy, scientists realized that they were wrong. Plesiosaurs were not dinosaurs, but they were reptiles. And to be more precise, they were archosaurs, which means they were more closely related to crocodiles and birds than they were to dinosaurs. One reason why they were so diverse was that they lived for so long. As I mentioned earlier, they appeared on Earth 243 million years ago and went extinct 66 million years ago. They lived for so long that they outlasted the dinosaurs. But wait, you may be thinking that I am wrong. Didn't the dinosaurs die out 65 million years ago? Well, yes, but there is some debate about this. Scientists know that something happened 65 million years ago, that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. But what caused it? Some people think that it was an asteroid that struck the Earth. Others say it was volcanic eruptions in India. And still others claim that it was a combination of both events. But some scientists argue that it wasn't an asteroid or volcanoes that killed the dinosaurs, but a disease. According to a report published by the BBC, scientists are investigating whether a virus was responsible for the demise of the dinosaurs and other life forms. They took sediment samples from a site in North Africa called Oulad Amadar and extracted ancient DNA from the rocks. The rocks were 66 million years old, which means they were formed shortly after the asteroid impact. Surprisingly, the researchers found traces of retroviruses, which are viruses that insert themselves into the DNA of their victims. This discovery led to speculation that a pandemic may have caused the mass extinction. However, further research is needed before anything definitive can be said. Another theory is that the Chicxulub asteroid impact triggered massive algae blooms that sucked up most of the oxygen in the oceans. This would have caused a global extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs and many other species. But what if neither of these events was to blame? What if the real reason for the extinction of the dinosaurs is that they were simply too successful? When the asteroid struck the Earth 66 million years ago, it opened up a whole new world of opportunities for other creatures. For example, mammals were able to radiate into new ecological niches and evolve into new species. Dinosaurs had been dominant for millions of years and had prevented other creatures from evolving. But now that they were gone, other creatures were free to evolve and fill the void. The sudden disappearance of the dinosaurs also allowed birds to radiate into new habitats. Birds are actually the closest relatives of dinosaurs, but they were able to survive the mass extinction event that killed off their dinosaur cousins. One reason for this is that birds were smaller than dinosaurs, which made them more agile and better able to adapt to new environments. Another reason is that birds were better at flying, which allowed them to escape from predators and find new sources of food. But while mammals and birds flourished in the aftermath of the asteroid impact, most other creatures did not. For example, plesiosaurs were not able to adapt to the changing environment and went extinct. So why did plesiosaurs go extinct? Like I said, they had been around for a long time and had seen a lot of changes. But nothing could have prepared them for the impact of an asteroid. When the asteroid struck the Earth, it caused massive earthquakes, tsunamis, and climate change. All of this would have had a devastating impact on the plesiosaurs and eventually led to their extinction. To be fair, it's a miracle that they lasted as long as they did. For millions of years, plesiosaurs were at the top of the food chain. They were the apex predators of the oceans. But in the end, they were no match for a giant space rock. But wait, don't jump to conclusions just yet. Some people believe that the asteroid impact theory is completely wrong. Instead, they think that plesiosaurs went extinct because of something called the Cretaceous sill upwelling event. This event caused a rapid increase in the amount of nutrients in the ocean, which led to massive algae blooms. These algae blooms blocked the sun's rays from reaching the ocean floor, which in turn caused the death of many marine creatures, including the plesiosaurs. So why did the Cretaceous sill upwelling event happen? Well, nobody really knows for sure. But one theory is that it was caused by changes in the Earth's tilt. This would have changed the pattern of ocean currents, which in turn would have affected the amount of nutrients in the ocean. Another theory is that it was caused by volcanic eruptions in India. These eruptions released large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which would have caused the ocean to become more acidic. This would have made it harder for marine creatures to get enough calcium to build their shells and skeletons. Whichever theory is correct, the end result was the same. The Cretaceous spill upwelling event caused the extinction of many marine creatures, including the Plesiosaurs. Now you might be wondering, why did I choose this particular sea monster to talk about? Well, it's because I think they are fascinating creatures. They were huge, powerful, and mysterious. And yet we know so little about them. We have found their fossils all over the world, but we still don't know for sure how they evolved or why they went extinct. I think plesiosaurs are the perfect example of the kind of creatures that make the ocean so scary and mysterious. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.